One of the hardest things to do when the world seems to be crumbling around you and when you're really struggling within your own head is staying optimistic. And that's why I want to talk about optimism today. For a lot of people that struggle with mental illness, I feel like a lot of the time, especially for depression or anxiety, what they hear from people that have never really experienced it is, why don't you just try to be happy? Or it's really not a big deal. You don't have to get anxious about it. Or other things along that vein. And for me, every time I hear those comments, it it kind of sucks. Like, it stings a little bit. And that's because it really is not that easy to just be happy or change your state of mind in a given moment or just feel less anxious. I mean, for me, I bite my cuticles and nails relentlessly, even though I know that it's not a good habit and that occasionally my fingers will bleed and hurt for days at a time because I have literally bitten off more than I can chew. And there are some days that are more on the depression front where I feel absolutely obliterated. I feel miserable from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. And no matter what I try to do, it doesn't seem to stop. So I've tried going to the gym, I've tried reading a book, and usually when I'm in that state of mind, I have a really hard time focusing. So reading never really works. I try writing, which works a decent amount of time. And I've tried talking to people, and that works sometimes, but still there's a large chunk of time when I don't feel any better, and I just have no idea why. And I think that in those moments where you just feel completely and totally defeated, optimism is the thing that kind of keeps pushing you forward. At least that's the case for me. And I know that seems dumb, because optimism is, again, just that change of mind, changing your state of mind to seeing something in a more positive light, which is really hard. And if you struggle with that, I understand. It's not an easy thing to do. But when I get to a point where I'm just getting utterly assaulted by suicidal thoughts, the only thing that really keeps me going is a healthy dose of optimism, that even if in that moment I don't believe it, I force myself to try to. So let me just give a little bit of insight into what I've been doing recently and just some tidbits about my life. And I just kind of how I got to a very, very negative state of mind recently. So, one thing, before I go any farther, I hope you guys liked the episode with Hesu Jo on last week. It was a lot of fun interviewing her. I know that just listening back to it, that there's a lot of stuff for me as an interviewer that I can improve upon, which is both exciting, but also terrifying, because I don't want to interview people and be like mediocre and have them leave with a bad taste in their mouth. But I also know that it's something that it's not going to improve unless I keep putting myself out there. So I have a couple more guests lined up for future episodes, and I kind of stopped reaching out to people that were more in the mental health space. And I'll explain more about that soon. But I do plan on reaching out to more people within the coming weeks to get some more professionals on the podcast. So I'm really excited about that. But so, as I've mentioned in other podcasts, jumping back to just kind of what's been going on with me, is I got laid off from my job. It was not a job that I liked. So being laid off from it made me feel actually pretty good for a little while. It was a sales job in which I did not believe in the product, and I did not believe in the sales style that the company was trying to make me do. And every time I went and talked to a potential client, I felt like I was kind of abandoning my morality. So I wasn't happy with that job, and I got laid off, and I liked it for a little while. I live in Erie, Pennsylvania, which is a very depressed. It's an area or a city with a very depressed economy. It is not doing very well. There's always people coming in and leaving who say that they're going to come in and fix the area, but then they really don't do anything. And I don't know the economics or the political side of this, but I just know that Erie has a lot of room for growth and potential, but it is a very slow ride. So for some people, it's a great place. It has a lot of small businesses, bars, restaurants, and there's a beach and a lot of parks and stuff. But for other people, it's just an absolute hellscape. And I definitely fall more in line with the people who view it as a hellscape, because I have not been able to excel in my career in this area just based on its location. There haven't been enough jobs for me to go for that are entry level. So I've gone out for a lot of interviews for jobs that I'm almost qualified for, but like just a little short, and I keep getting passed up. And so in the coming months, I will likely leave Erie, not because I really have anything wrong with the area, but just because it's not working for me right now. But the whole reason that I decided to stay in Erie in the first place was because it's also where I went to college, and I had a lot of friends who were graduating after me, so I was excited to stay in the area before they went off to do cool things. And also, my brother lives up here. My girlfriend is also going to college, so when she's done, that'll be the defining moment of when I likely jump to another location. But there were reasons for me to stay and why I wanted to stay up here. And part of the reason that I wanted to stay in the area was due to my mental health. I was not comfortable with moving to a completely new place with people that I did not know and starting a career. I didn't feel strong enough to do that. And I feel no shame in that. I really just didn't feel like... Well, let me put it this way. If I went somewhere and I didn't have a support system by me in the frame of mind that I had at that given moment, there was a chance that I would have done something irreparable like suicide. And I didn't want to chance that. So instead of going somewhere different, I opted to stay in the area knowing that there were not a lot of jobs for me and tough it out until I felt a little bit more comfortable moving out and more being on my own. So that was my decision for staying in Erie. Now, I've been here past college. I graduated in December of 2017. And so I've been up here for about a year and a half, I guess, at this point. And I feel a lot more comfortable moving somewhere else, whether it be by myself or with my girlfriend Alex or something. Just, I feel much more comfortable doing something on my own. And I'm proud of myself for that. But it's also weird because just based on my situation in life, it makes more sense financially and just locationally for me to stay here for another 6 months or so until Alex graduates college. And I expect her to have a lot of promising opportunities in her career. So to me, it makes sense to wait for her to graduate and then follow her wherever she gets her first job. And I'm unbelievably proud of her, and I can't wait to see what kind of cool stuff she does. So anything I say is not, I don't want that to be mistaken as like, I don't know what I'm saying. But I'm incredibly proud of her. I really am, and I'm excited to see where she's going and what she does. So for me, it makes sense to stay in the area for a little while longer. Now, some of the other stuff that I've been doing while I've been up here, kind of just buying time, is I had that job, which I got laid off from 8 months after I started, and I was unemployed for about 3 months. And recently I picked up a job at a grocery store and I will work in the deli section, and I look at any opportunity or any career path or job as an opportunity because there's always chance for like growth or something like that. But it was a pretty significant pay cut for me. And so I'm having to reanalyze where my money is going, how I'm budgeting, and honestly, just what I'm going to do with my life. And so I'm at a point where I know that there's promise in the job that I have. There could be potential growth and promotion. The marketing jobs, which is my field of study, are not really available in the area that I'm in. But I'm also stuck in this area, being Erie, for about the next 6 months at least. Potentially longer, depending on if it takes Alex a little bit longer to get a job out of college, which if it does, that's not a problem. We can roll with the punches. But so these are all decisions that I've made. And I don't really regret any of these decisions, even though they have made my career path one that is of a lot of difficulty. Now, as you know, some of the other stuff that I like to do in my free time is this podcast. I started creating YouTube videos with my friend Nikos. That was a way of us trying to stay in touch while he moved to Virginia and I stayed up here. That is on a YouTube channel called Mr. Eighth Wonder. It's real weird. The videos are all something different, so give it a look if you're interested. Obviously my writing. So I have finished my third book now. And I've been sending that out to agents and stuff, and haven't had any luck with it yet, but I'm still happy with how it's been going. And just a lot of other stuff. So I've been a lot more focused on my hobbies and my passion projects, even though they're currently not leading to a more lucrative and secure lifestyle. And now, I know I've put a pretty positive spin on everything that I've said, and I meant every bit of it. But what also comes with the decisions that I've made is a lot of difficulty and uncertainty and worry. And I'll explain a little bit why. So I'll start with my passion projects. My writing is one of the things that I am most proud of. I love storytelling. I think it's just an absolute blast. I love the reactions that people have to my stories. I like creating characters that are really, really flawed. I really hate flawless characters. I really hate happy endings. And I like writing stuff that make people think. And just as this podcast is aimed at mental illness, a lot of my writing focuses on that too. And it's not because I'm really trying to pass an agenda or anything. It's just that's my brain. It's pretty riddled with a lot of issues. So it comes out in the writing. And I'm super happy with the writing. But sometimes it gets really hard knowing that I've dedicated a lot of time over the past 2 years. Now I'm 23, and in the grand scheme of things, 2 years is really not a lot of time. I know I'm still young. I know I'm still basically just touching the beginning of my career and future dreams and life and everything like that. And I accept that and acknowledge it. But 2 years is still a lot of time for building up the skills in podcasting, in writing, in even stuff like Photoshop and social media and whatnot. And it's a really long grind. And the only reason that I'm able to keep pushing forward with it is because I absolutely love it. But I put a lot of hope and weight on the hobbies that I do because eventually I'd like for them to benefit me financially. If I could make money off of the hobbies that I do, whether it be podcasting, writing, and just kind of building a brand or platform for Acceptable Madness, then I'd be absolutely thrilled. That's like my lifelong dream, is to be self-sufficient through the content that I create. And it's something that's very far off. but I still put a lot of pressure on myself to try to accomplish it and really try to work hard and make progress towards it, because I know that that dream is never going to be fulfilled unless I put in a lot of time. And I like putting in the time because it's all for stuff that I like doing. If I didn't like doing it, I wouldn't be doing it. The thing that's hardest for me is social media because I really don't like it that much. But I know that it's something that I at least need to kind of do something there to keep pushing it forward. But what I'm saying is I love writing, but it hasn't really gotten anywhere yet. I have a very small audience of people that read my work, mostly friends and family, and even I'm able to see the absolute and incredible growth. And I'm not saying this in an arrogant way, but there really has been a lot of growth in my own writing skills over the past 2 years. It started from me writing stories that were full of continuity errors, an unclear plot, characters that really didn't make sense, and dialogue that felt really, really stale. It'd be like reading the worst book you've ever read. But I'm still proud of it, and in the moment, that was my everything. I was so happy, and the only reason I continued was because my friend Kyle said that he liked it, even though it had all of its flaws. So I was excited to write something new for him. And so I wrote another book, and that one I was more proud of, because well, not more proud, but it was better, but it still wasn't good enough to be in a bookstore. And then, after I realized that and kept bettering my writing through short stories and other shorts and whatnot, I wrote a third book, which is just way better than the first two, just in terms of writing style, plot, and everything. It's more believable characters, and it kind of comes more from my heart. So, and I think that reflects in the writing. But I've written 3 books in 3 years, 4 if you count all the shorts that I've done, which is a lot. And there's part of me that's just really excited to see, to have other people see my work and to appreciate it and to have a discussion about it. And I think it would be cool to have people that I've never met before do that. And I don't know. I think it'd be a lot of fun to talk with people that actually like enjoyed my writing for a reason that wasn't obligation, like being related to me or being having some friendship or whatnot. And not to say that I don't appreciate their feedback and their time, but it's like that next step that I'm ready for. I'm excited for it, but it might never come. I'm 23, early in my life, but I know that there's a lot of effort and skill that has to go into, and determination that has to go into pushing yourself forward and improving yourself in whatever you're doing. But there's still a significant amount of luck that goes in also. So, like, think of your favorite YouTuber or your favorite author. They have to, I'll focus on authors just because I'm talking about books, but they have to write something, critique it, edit it, realize that it's not good enough, do the exact same thing 100 more times, and then if they're lucky, an agent might see the value and merit of their work and be excited to push them forward to, like, that next level. And that's for traditional publishing. I mean no ill will in terms of people that self-publish or just write for fun. I think that's super respectable as well. I just have different goals for myself. And I would like to be physically published in a bookstore. I think that would be really cool. Like, that is another one of my lifelong dreams that I really hope to accomplish. And I get rejected by agents all of the time. I send my book out. I send the cover letter out. I'm a pretty shitty editor, if I'm being honest. Like, I like writing stories, but I'm really bad at grammar and sometimes spelling. So really, I have no business being a writer, but that's okay. But I get rejected all the time, and it starts to add up. So I live in a depressed area, and every job that I apply to rejects me. Except for the one that I have, again, in a grocer as a deli person. And, or I've gotten laid off from another job, or I send my stuff out to, my writing out to agents, and it's just another wave of rejection. And And I was really excited because last week, Jesus Joe was on my podcast, and I was excited for it to go on to up and just having a notable brand on. So BetterHelp, regardless of, I see a lot of mixed comments and thoughts in like their Facebook page's comment section and stuff like that. But I think what they're trying to do is really valuable, and I do think a lot of people find merit in it. But they have 945,000 Facebook followers, so like just short of 1 million. And I was really excited to have that podcast give me a few more followers, even if it's only 5, 10, 1 or 2. It doesn't matter. I was just excited for it. And what actually happened the day that the podcast was up and the day that they promoted it on their social media was I lost 1 Facebook follower. And I know in the grand scheme of things, 1 person is not a lot. So that really didn't upset me. But I think I was more upset by the fact that the interview with BetterHelp didn't elicit more attention and bring more people to Acceptable Madness, because I was really excited to have another wave of people coming in. And again, even if I only got a few, that's fine. And I'm excited for you, and welcome to the podcast. I hope you enjoy it. But I was just hoping for something different. And maybe I'm getting greedy. Maybe I'm being a little bit, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing the point, because the main reason I do this is to raise awareness and to help people in whatever way that I can. So maybe I'm too focused on growth and not focused enough on just creating good content. And I've thought about that, and there's a chance that that's the case. And I mean, I think you can be focused on both and have the outcome be positive and in your favor. But I don't know. I'm just in a weird space where I thought that was going to be like a launching point for the podcast, something to really bring it more attention. And it didn't do what I wanted it to do. And that was a little bit saddening, not going to lie. I have no problem admitting that, even if it's not maybe even if I'm not even thinking about it in the right way, I have no problem admitting that. And my writing, every rejection I get from an agent is exciting, because it means that I'm in the process of sending my stuff out and letting myself be vulnerable and accepting criticism. But it also, I want something different from that too. I want an agent to see my work and feel that I can offer something positive to the world, whether it be in regards to the writing and just the quality of writing, or the message that may be in what I am writing. So I just hit a point within the past 2 weeks, and it felt like my rock bottom. Like, I got this job that was paying me significantly less than I was making. I keep getting rejected by agents. My podcast didn't launch or like get the boost that I was hoping for it to. And something that also just weighs on me is, because I'm not doing work in my field of marketing, which is self-inflicted because I'm staying in an area where I can't find a job right now, I feel like I'm a bit of a failure also with having a major that I'm not involved in right now. And it's not that I've become complacent and have given up on it, because I have not. That's just not in my blood. But it's still weird to be doing something and knowing that I kind of just have to take a hiatus for a little while and just wait until I move somewhere else. And maybe that seems like a cop-out or like the easy thing, but I promise you I have been trying a lot for like a year and a half, and the one job I found laid me off. So, and I know that the stuff that I'm really interested in, writing, podcasting, all that stuff, is a less traditional revenue source than what a lot of other people do, including my parents, my girlfriend, my 3 siblings. And it makes me feel like a pariah. I feel like I'm just this outlier that is trying some shit that he should just give up on. And I know I can't give up on it. If I'm alive, I will be pushing this stuff. But then that's when the suicidal thoughts kind of pour in. Because if I'm alive, I know I'm going to be pushing this, pushing all of my projects. But they might never amount to anything. And I really want them to. I'm excited for it. And I feel like if I'm allowed, I can do the world some good. I hope that doesn't sound cocky. It's just, I'm willing to put the work in to really improve people's lives. And so I know that if I stay alive, I will continue pushing this. But then the thought of, well, what if I kill myself? Because then I won't have to worry about this anymore, or continue being a failure in my own eyes, or disappointing myself. And that's a really unhealthy way to think about it. I'm fully aware. And if you're having thoughts like that presently or at any point in your life, please seek help. And do what you need to do to get to a better mindset. But those are the thoughts that went through my head. Was I know how hard this is, and I know the struggle that going through all this is. So is it worth it to continue? Or should I just fade into nothingness? So I was talking to Alex about this, and I basically said that it feels like I'm just staring into an abyss that's completely pitch black. And I just keep throwing like all of my passions and hobbies and all of my hopes and dreams into this abyss, hoping to light it up. But then the abyss swallows it, and there's no more brightness or hope. And it's really hard to keep pushing forward and throwing more stuff down that hole. Staying optimistic is the only thing that keeps me from those thoughts. I'm optimistic that eventually something will work out for me. I'm optimistic that eventually I will get the job that I am looking for and one that I'm more qualified for. I'm optimistic that I will find an agent who will take a chance on me and that I will not disappoint them. I'm optimistic that my friends and family will continue being successful, but will not look at me as an outcast, outlier, or failure in the way that I view myself. And I'm optimistic that eventually it'll all get better. And I don't know for sure if it will. But at the same time, I know that it will because it's been better before. And I feel like just having those thoughts is a very cyclic motion where sometimes it'll be great and sometimes it'll be really, really bad. So for me, I just have to pick out the things that make me excited to still be alive, and then I keep pushing forward. I don't want my family to have to go through the pain of losing me, even though I view myself as a burden. I know that that's not necessarily the correct way to view myself, and I'm sure that they don't view me that way most times. So I don't want them to feel miserable because of my loss and absence. Because knowing how bad and how low you can feel is the thing that makes me keep going, because I don't want anybody else to feel that pain. It sucks. There's no other way to put it. It's just miserable. You feel useless, you feel worthless. And if you get to the point where you're feeling suicidal, then there's no worse feeling that I've ever experienced. I'd rather break every bone in my body than go through it. And I mean that sincerely, because physical pain is something that eventually it'll go away, but for mental illness, it's just going to be with you forever. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if you overcome it, that's the biggest test of strength you'll probably ever have in your entire fucking life. Because it's so hard. I haven't overcome it. I might not ever overcome it, because it's a constant thing that'll always be with you. And I think thinking that it's going to end is a negative thing to think about, because that could lead to false expectations and hopes. But staying optimistic that you'll feel better. If you're lonely, staying optimistic that you'll find friends or someone that can really give you the compassion you're looking for, the job that you need with a pay rate that'll let you pay bills. Optimism is literally the only thing that matters sometimes, because you have to think that it's going to get better. And if you don't think it's going to get better, seek help. Like, immediately. I don't know where you're going to find that help. I hope you have a good support system. There's phone numbers online that you can call if you need them. But trust me when I say that someone cares about you so much more than you think someone does. And in my case, a lot more than I care for myself. I really want to be someone that the people I know can be proud of. And for me right now, I'm not particularly proud of the situation I'm in, because I've put a lot of hope on my hobbies and passion projects. And although they bring me happiness, they're not doing anything for me right now financially. And I know that money isn't the ultimate judge over everything, but it still makes me feel like I'm wasting my time a little bit, even though I know that I love it and I know that it's something that's good for me and potentially others. But I don't know. I want to be someone that I can be proud of. And truth be told, I'm not right now. So I'm going to keep trucking along, because that's the only thing I can do. I'm going to stay optimistic, because I know it'll all work out for me in the end. And it will for you too, as long as you keep trucking along. So, I know for an episode about optimism, that maybe wasn't the most happy and upbeat conversation, but that's what's been on my mind. I actually had no idea what to talk about this week, because I've just been having, it feels like I'm having mental breakdown after mental breakdown. And I don't know. And it feels like the audience that I have here cares more about, and maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like the people that would listen to this would care a lot more about the lesson being given more than just what's going on with my life. So I almost didn't want to talk about this, but I'm glad I did. I hope you can pull some positivity from it, and also know that if you're in a bad place, I can relate to that, even though some of you might not feel like anyone can relate to it. I promise you I can. And it'll be over soon. But you have to keep pushing forward and seek help if you need it. So, thank you for listening. And I'll talk to you again next week. Bye.